In the past two training videos, we learned what a style is, and again, a style is a collection of formats that in this video will create a custom style that we can apply to this table. And this will include the text within the table and borders and shading. So to create our own custom style, click anywhere within the table so we can bring up its related contextual design tab, go to the table styles group, and there's all the built-in styles. That when you hover over one gives you a preview of it in the document, then also the pop-up, the name of it, which is Grid Table 1 Light Accent 1. So let's go ahead and add to the gallery here by creating our own custom table style by clicking on the More button and going down and selecting New Table Style. Give it a name, maybe something pithy, and then the style type, click on it. Well, we're doing it for a table, so how about if we just leave it as table, select that. And then style based upon the normal table as opposed to something else. We'll go ahead and click off of it, keep it as table normal. And then when it comes to applying the format, do you want to do it to the entire table, or do you have a part of the table like the first row, the header row, that contains the headings for the column or column labels? Or do you want to do it for the total row? So when you check total row, the last row, how's that going to be formatted? You can go ahead and create your own custom total row. Let's go with the whole table, so I'll click off of it. So whatever formatting we apply down below, we'll update the whole table. And there's the preview. So if we want to go ahead and change the font type, you can either go ahead and start typing or clicking on the drop-down arrow. I'll just start typing, MO. There's Monotype Corsiva. Hit the Tab key. Ooh, that's fancy pants font. I'll stick with that. You can change the size of it, make it bold, change the color, red. And then right now in the preview window, we don't have any borders around the table. So if you want borders, then click on the border drop-down arrow. Let's do all borders. And ooh, I don't like that type of border. Let's go ahead and click on the drop-down arrow. And let's do a line. And if I want the line to be thicker, then change the width to something thicker. Ooh, that's crazy. Let's go back and do something thinner. Maybe a half a point. All right, that's okie dokie. And then you've got the colors, so you can go ahead and choose something like blue for the borders, which, ugh, that's not working for me. So I can click on it and change it to something else. Maybe a dark blue would work. And then do we want a fill color for the cells? You can click on the drop-down arrow and choose something light. I could roll with that. And then as far as the alignment goes within the cells, we can go ahead and click on the drop-down arrow and do a center vertical alignment. So it aligns it vertically as well as horizontally. So align center, looking pretty good. And then you get the description down below of what we applied so far with the formats like Monotype Corsiva, bold, font color red, and so on. And you can have it only available in this document or all new documents, including this one. And then if you want additional formats, click on the Format button. You can go to Table Properties. We talked about this in an earlier training video. You can update the alignment, the text wrapping if you want that applied to this custom table, all the other options there. So you want to watch the training video on tables. Let's go ahead and click Cancel, and we'll say okie dokie. And then to go ahead and apply it to this table, let's come back up here, click on the More button, and it's right there. Pithy. Click on it, and oh, I've said it so much, it's lost all meaning now, that pithy word. And then if you want to go ahead and modify it, well, just come back up here and find it and right click on it and say you want to modify the table, make your changes, click okie dokie. And if you want to get rid of it, right click on it and you can delete the table style so it's no longer available. But remember, it's available in new documents. So when I come up here and click on the File tab, go down to New, click on Blank Document. Well, we have to have a table inserted to apply it, so let's come up here, click on the Insert tab, Table, let's do a 1 by 1. That's pretty quick, right? And then it's right there. Hover over it, it's pithy. Yay! Let's go ahead and close out and call it good. In the past 3 training videos, we learned about text, list, and table styles. Here, I want to show you how you can modify and delete them. First off, your text styles, come up here on the Home tab to the Styles group, and there's something spiffy. Right-click on it to modify it, and make your changes. Click okie dokie. I'll click Cancel. Or if it's not in the gallery, then you can go ahead and click on the Expandable Dialog Box button, and there it is, the spiffy in the Styles list. You can right-click on that, not only modify it, but you can also delete it. So that's just for the text styles. Now for the list style, let's come up here on the Home tab in the Paragraph group, click on the Multi-Level List drop-down arrow, find your custom style, and it's something fancy. Right-click on it. You only get the modification option, so go ahead and click on that. Ooh, Spooky Ghost, that's a fancy list style. Go ahead and make your changes. I'll click Cancel. And then for your table styles, go ahead and click inside of any table to bring up its related contextual design tab. And then go to the Table Styles group, click on the More button. In the Custom section, find your, well, this one's pithy. Right-click on your custom table and go down to, well, you can delete it here or modify it. Make your changes, then click Okie dokie. And that's how you can go ahead and make your modifications. Now, as far as deleting, well, the multi-level list, we weren't able to delete it from that list. So to be able to delete like your multi-level list style, in fact, all styles for that matter that you created, you can do it in one window. You want to see? All right, I knew you'd be convinced. Well, with your Styles task pane open, come down below and click on Manage Styles, and then come over here and click on Import Export, and there you go. You've got, well, the current document that you're in, which is the Modify Delete Styles. You can see up here in the title bar, Modify Delete Styles. So it contains a list of all the styles within my current document, as opposed to over here, the normal document or the global template. In other words, the blank document. Every time you click on New Blank Document, it will include these styles. Now, we've got the fancy list and the pithy table, but what about the spiffy text style? Well, if you want to add that so it's available in all New Blank Documents, let's go ahead and scroll over here to find it, select it, and copy it over. And now, anytime I create a new blank document, it's there. If I don't want it there, well, guess what? You got your delete option, so you can delete it from all new documents. Select it, click delete, and say yes. Also, if you don't want it available in this document, let's go ahead and scroll down, select it, delete it, and I'm not going to do that. But you see how it's got a list of all the styles, table, text, list, that you can go ahead in one window, delete them, and also be able to copy them back and forth from the global template, the new blank documents, to the current document that you have open. You can also rename them, so if we want to go ahead and rename Pithy to something, well, Pith, click Okie dokie. Now that's just for this document, not for the new blank document, so I can come over here, select that, rename it, and say you're also Pith, click Okie dokie. And then once you're done with all your changes, deleting, renaming, or sharing back and forth in between what you want available in all new blank documents, you can go ahead and close out, but that brings up a good point. Now, if you just recently added the styles like fancy, pith, and also, well, spiffy, let's go ahead and scroll over and select that and copy it over to your new blank documents, but you have older documents that don't have these styles in it, and you want those styles available in your older documents, well, keep this one open right here, the one that you want to be able to copy over into your other documents, and go ahead and click Close to close out of the global template. Then click on Open because it changes from closed to open. So now that it's closed, you can go ahead and open up another document. And it puts us in the Templates folder, so you can work on the global template again, or you can go ahead and open up another document that you want to share it between the two. And so right now you can see it's only looking for all Word templates, not documents. So let me go to the desktop. Over here in the main window on my desktop is the Exercises folder, and I do have documents in there, but it's only looking for templates or the extensions of .dot or .dotx or .dotm. If you don't know anything about extensions, you can watch my Windows training video on extensions, but let's go ahead and change that to say look at all files, and well, there we go. So if we want to go ahead and open up Chartit, double click. Opens up over to the right hand side, and I can compare and contrast and go, okay, do you have something fancy for a list style over in my Chartit document? I don't see anything fancy, so you can go ahead and select it, copy it over. Now it's available in that document or that older document, because remember, all new documents will have my fancy list style, my pithy table style, and spiffy text style. And so you can just go ahead and close out of this file, open up another file, copy it over, and vice versa. Whatever's over here, copy it over there. And all of that can be done, copying, deleting, and renaming your styles in one window. And because I'm closing out, it wants to know if I want to save the changes that I made by copying over the style to the charted. I'll say, nah. Okay, that's not a technical word. No. A document theme is a set of formatting options that includes colors, fonts, and effects, which harmonize with one another or complement each other throughout the entire document and can be applied in a single click. For example, have you ever inserted a couple of objects into your document where one object you had one color and another object you want to give it color, and not the same color as the first one, but something complementary, something that's not so contrasting that it distracts the reader? Or better yet, another example is the font. For your headings, you have one type of font, and for the body of the document, you want something that, again, doesn't contrast so much that it annoys the reader between the heading and the body of the text. Well, there's your document themes. If you want to apply one or see what they look like, then come up here, click on the Design tab, go to the Document Formatting group, and it's right there. You can see when I hover over it in the pop-up, it says pick a new theme to give your document instant style and just the right personality. Ooh, personality, I'm intrigued. Go ahead and click on it, and there's all the different themes, and you can see the different types of, what are they? Over here, colors, fonts, and effects. So if you're looking at one theme and you're like, well, I don't like the fonts there or the colors, but in general, I think it's okay, you can select it, and after you apply it, then you can tweak it with the colors, fonts, and effects. But let's go ahead and focus on the image here, and you can see you've got your uppercase A, which represents the heading styles. So if you have any text that you've applied a heading style to, it'll update it if you choose the Office theme with that type of style, the uppercase A. Then the lowercase a is for all the non-heading styles, the body of the text. And then you have the color palettes. And if you want something more purplish and blue-green, go with Gallery. And then the effects, well, you won't see it here in the thumbnail previews for your themes. And for your page colors, come over here. You can apply one first. And then when you choose a theme over here, it'll update it to complement the colors there in the palette. And you'll notice that when I hover over one of these thumbnails, it doesn't give me a preview of it, at least for the fonts. And the reason being is because I'm not using theme fonts. By default, Word has them turned on, and I basically turned them off. You want to know how that works? Well, let me show you. Let's click off. Let's come up here, click on the Home tab, go to the Font group, and well, let me just go ahead and click in the body of the text. And the type of font I'm using is Times New Roman. Now, is that a theme font? How do you know? Go ahead and click on the drop-down arrow, and you can see we've got three different sections. We have theme fonts, and it's not here, so I can't use themes. It won't update when I go to the Design tab to choose a theme. Then you have recently used fonts, then all the fonts. So if I want to go ahead and use the themes on the Design tab to have it update with the, well, whatever theme I choose, with the fonts for that theme, then I have to select all my text within the document and go with the body and go with that. That's Calibri. Now you're saying, wait, I don't like Calibri. Well, that's fine, but it has to be in that theme to kick it off. Then once you kick it off, you can go to the Design tab, because that's what it's all about, designing, and you can go down and tweak that and say, I want to go back to Times New Roman. You're probably asking, what's the point? You already have Times New Roman. Well, if I change my mind for different presentations, I can do it in a single click if I go with the themes. And I design it to have Times New Roman for the body. And for a different presentation, I can go ahead and customize another theme that I can go ahead and click on with something else in a single click without having to come down here, select the body of the text, and then come up here to change it to one type of font. And then when that presentation's done, go and change it to another type, and that can take too long. So themes can be very advantageous if you're going to be doing a lot of changes, or you want the ability to update it in a single click, from, in this case, the default Calibri to something else, whatever the other themes are, and doesn't matter what they are because you can tweak them, which we'll go over in just a minute. So there's the Calibri for the body, and any heading styles that you apply will be in Cambria. So let's go ahead and do this thing. Let's select that and say you're a heading style. Okay, that's off, but that's all right. Let's stay focused and select this text right here. It's Times New Roman. Well, and let's just come up here and say your Calibri. So you can see we've got one type of font as opposed to that. And one thing I want to caution you on, well, let me click inside of that paragraph because we know that's Calibri body. So that is a theme font, but when I click on the drop down arrow and I go from Calibri with the body here in the theme fonts, I can scroll down to the C's and choose Calibri here, but it doesn't have body next to it. It's not in that top section that defines it as body font. So yes, you can actually select the same type of font that, well, one is up here as a theme font where the other one isn't. So in any case, if you want the power to update everything within your document in a single click using the themes, and in this case the theme fonts, well, here we go. So we're now using the theme font. As you can see when I click in it, it's heading for Cambria font, and then down below it's Calibri for the body. Go back to the design and then go ahead and click on themes, and then I want you to take a look. Well, you can only see part of the heading here. It says "and charity" in the document, then the first paragraph, but when I go over and hover over something, oh, there you go, you see that? Oh, it's updating. Oh, I'm getting excited. Oh, that's fun. So you can automatically see if you're using the theme fonts, which again, by default, Word has it turned on when you install Word on your computer, so you don't have to do anything but just go ahead and find one of these themes and it'll automatically populate for you. If you like it, great. If not, then we'll talk about how we can tweak it in just a minute. But if you're like me and you're like later on, you get somebody else's document, you're like, oh, I don't like that type of font. Let me just go ahead and choose that and come up here and click on the drop down arrow. I don't like Calibri. I like Times. Ooh, Times New Roman. Then I hit enter. Notice that Times New Roman is not the current theme font. So I take it out of that structure. It's no longer looked at as a theme. So if I come up here and try to choose another theme, the only thing that changes, well, as you can see, is "and charity" behind here. Updates that because that's the heading style theme that gets updated with any other theme. So you have to start off with the theme fonts to be able to go ahead and use the additional themes here for it to go ahead and tag what's there that it can update. And so that can work as a pro and con. Maybe there's certain types of paragraphs within your document or themes that you want updated that you can do in a single click, and other types, like, well, these paragraphs, they won't get updated. So maybe it can pull special emphasis or be something thematic to certain parts of your document. Again, maybe different presentations, either through a projector or just different presentations as a handout. In any case, you can have a lot of fun with that and can be quite powerful if your documents require as such, or certain parts are slightly different than the other parts. Let me go ahead and hit undo, and we'll just keep that as part of the themes there, the body theme. Now, after you apply a theme, again, you can customize it, and in this case, the fonts, if you don't like the heading style, well, this is, let's see, click in it, right-click on it, Cambria, and then right-click on this one, Calibri. Well, then come up here, click on Fonts, and you can see the different types, and you can see it's just like that themes over here. You got the uppercase A, lowercase a. As you can see over here is for the heading styles, and it gives you a sample for the uppercase A. And then for the body of the font, it's going to be in a different type of font as opposed to this style, which is the same type of font for your heading styles and the body, except that one's bigger, that one's smaller. So a smaller font size for the body of the text. In any case, if you don't like any of these, you can go ahead and click on Customize. And there you go. For the heading fonts, we can do something like Comic, there we go, Comic Sans. Or you can click on the drop-down arrow and choose it. For me, it's quicker to type it in. Hit the Tab key, and then for the body, Calibri, that's good. And we'll call it something spiffy, because everything we do here is spiffy. Then hit the Enter key on the keyboard, and hey, there you go. So it's updated. When I click in here, right-click to bring up the mini formatting toolbars, Comic Sans, click on the drop-down arrow, and it's a theme font. So, because it's a theme font, I can, of course, go ahead and click on the drop-down arrow and just go through and choose something else, but that defeats the purpose of customizing it. So now I have a theme that I tweaked for the fonts, and if I'm like, okay, how about the colors? Well, for colors, let's go ahead and insert a shape. Come up here, click on the Insert tab, go to the Illustrations group, click on Shapes, and I want to draw a circle. I know it says oval, but let's click on Oval. And you can see I've got a black cross that when I click and drag, it is oval, but when I hold down the Shift key, it pops it open to a circle. Oh, that's nice. Go ahead and let that go. And so now that we have something that's got color applied to it, if I go back to my Design tab and I click on Themes, you can see when I hover over it, it updates the circle to give me something that keeps it harmonized with everything else in the colors, the color palette for that theme. And if I don't like the colors, any of the themes here, or since I already tweaked the fonts here, I don't want to come back in here and choose something that's going to have a different font. So how about if we just go ahead and click on the colors drop down arrow, and then go ahead and choose one of the themes here if you'd like. And you can see when I hover over blue-green, well, the heading style updates. And well, you can't see the shape behind it updating. But if I click off and I click and drag the shape over here, okay, there we go. And then I can go ahead and hover over it and you see how it keeps it in harmony. Cool. If you don't like the palettes here, then you can go ahead and click on Customize Colors. And all right, in the sample window, we have light text against a dark background, and then we have dark text against a light background. And so you can look over here and see which one, by deductive reasoning, there's black. So black text against a light background as opposed to white text against a dark background. So when it comes to your themes, you do have background colors and you want your text to stand out. If you choose a page color that's completely pitch black, you want something white. And also with your accent colors, when it comes to inserting like charts or smart art, you want something that begins, well, the first color, the first accent. If it's a column chart, you've got it light blue and then red, light blue, red. So however you want to start it off, go ahead and choose. I'll keep it simple. So for the light background, we'll choose something dark, maybe not black text. Click on the drop down arrow and choose red. You can see how it looks in the sample window and go, oh, that's just lovely. And then you can go ahead and tweak the rest of it. And well, let's do this one. Choose yellow for the text background here. And then you've got your hyperlinks. So when you do insert hyperlinks into your document, well, against a dark background, you only get one choice. So if I go ahead and say, don't make it blue, and there it is, make it something lighter. Well, that pops, but it doesn't work well against a light background now, does it? So I'll go ahead and change it back to that. In any case, go ahead and give it a name, something that you'll always remember, something spiffy. And then if you're like, I don't like this, you can go ahead and reset it all. So it goes back to the way it was before we made the changes, but I'll keep it as spiffy and click Save. And then come up here, click on the colors drop down arrow, and that's our spiffy setup as opposed to something else here. In any case, let's go ahead and click off. And then finally our effects, we can come over here, click on effects, and you know what? You can't customize the effects. You can just go ahead and choose one. Well, go ahead and hover over it and then watch the circle on the document. It'll give you a preview before you go ahead and click on it. So I'm moving around and, okay, glossy, got a little glossy. Okay, enough with that. You can go ahead and choose one of them. And when you choose the one that you like, and you're like, okay, this is my theme. This is my one theme. That's a collection of the colors that I customize in my fonts and effects. And if you want to keep a hold of that theme, so that way you don't have to do this all over again, then come over here, click on the drop-down arrow for themes, and say that you want to save your current theme. Click on it. Opens up the document themes folder. You click and drag and move it down. And since everything here was spiffy colors, spiffy fonts, then it's got to be a spiffy theme. And then go ahead and hit enter on the keyboard, and that's it. So if I come up here and click on File, go down to New, and click on Blank Document, is my theme available here? Design, Themes. It is! Oh, that's spiffy. So let's go ahead and close out of here. It's available in all new documents. And if for some reason you need to go ahead and edit this, either the themes, the colors, the fonts, well, let's do themes first. Click on it, and then right-click on your spiffy. You can delete it. That's the best you can do. But if you want to tweak this, then with it already selected and applied in the document, then you can come over here and tweak everything here, then just go ahead and save it as something else. And then come over here, click on colors. You can right-click on your spiffy color. You can go ahead and edit it, make changes to it. And of course, you can go ahead and right-click on it to delete it. And then your fonts, same thing. There's my custom font, right-click, edit, and or right-click to delete. And the effects, just the way they are. You can't make any changes by right-clicking on them. You can add gallery to the quick access toolbar if you want to add it up here, but I'll leave it alone. And then one more thing, how about the page color? Don't want to forget that. Come over to the page background, click on page color, in case if you do want a page color. And if we choose something light, well, let's just apply one. There we go. And I come back up here, click on themes. Of course, any that I choose here will update it with its own page color. Wow, that is quite the circuit. In any case, if you want a page color, go ahead and apply it. You may want to work on choosing something that's complementary, and that seems okay. And then if you want to go ahead and update your theme, that includes not only the colors, fonts, and effects, but the background page color. Then go ahead and click on themes. And then you can't right click on it to say go save it. So you have to come down here and click on save current theme. And you can overwrite the theme that we just saved, Spiffy, by selecting it, then clicking save. And we want to replace it, yes. So now it's been updated. Anytime we create a new blank document, it's going to be there until we go ahead and come up here and right click on it to delete it. Before I can show you how to crop or cut out the excess space and resize an image, picture, shape, or object, because what you learn to do to one in this and in the next couple of training videos can basically be applied to all the others, I need to insert one first. Let's insert a picture. And where do I want to insert? Let's go ahead and click below this paragraph to insert it there beneath the winged dragon. Ooh, that sounds spooky. Let's insert a dragon. Let's come up here and click on the Insert tab. Go to the Illustrations group and Online Pictures. Let's find one online, a dragon, hit Enter. And ooh, look at all those spooky ones. Oh, he's cute. Let's find somebody who's in between. Oh, there's an in-betweener. Go ahead and check him, click on Insert, and there you go. Now once you insert your picture, image, shape, or object, and you want to cut out part of it or crop it, maybe it's got extra white space, and this one just has a little bit above the head, or you want to cut out, like in this example, maybe the wings and the feet so we just get the head. To go ahead and crop it, you can do it one of a couple of ways. You can either, with it selected, the picture, come up here to its related contextual format tab, go to the size group, and click on the crop button. When you do that, you get the black cropping handles. You can do it that way. Let me hit the escape key to get out of that. Or you can right click on the picture and get the crop feature as well. And then you get the black cropping handles. So if I want to crop it in from left going to right, then go ahead and hover over the left middle cropping handle until you can see, well, it looks like a sideways T almost. Go ahead and click and drag, and you can see it starts to cut out right there, and then it aligns what's cut out over to the left-hand side because that's no longer to be considered. Let's go ahead and do it to the bottom now. Bottom middle cropping handle, click and drag to push up to the chin. And if you like that, to stamp your approval, then go ahead and click on the crop button one more time. And there you go. Cool. Now if you're like, I didn't like that, well, all's not lost. You can come back up here and click on the crop button, and you can still see the image that you can hover over the bottom cropping handle and click and drag and reveal it back. And let's go ahead and click on crop. Let's click crop again, and then the left middle handle, click and drag all the way back, and let's click and drag back. And whoop, if you went too far, you can go ahead and keep playing with it until you get it just right. And if you're like, oh, that's not the original size, what you can do if you want to get the exact original size before you started playing with the cropping feature, you can come up here on the Format tab to the Adjust group, and you got your Reset option, or click on the drop-down arrow, Options. The Reset picture only discards all the formatting, not the size, or sets it back to its original size. So formatting like corrections, color, artistic effects. So if I choose a couleur, something, saturation 33%, select it, and I go ahead and click on the Reset button. You see how it goes back to its original color here, non-saturation. So we can go ahead and click on it again and choose it, and then click on the drop-down arrow, and you get a combination of both. If you want the size back, it also includes the picture, so it resets everything. So click on it, goes back to the color, and it goes back to the exact size. And let's hit the escape key. Let's see what other cropping options we get with it selected. Come up here. Instead of clicking on the crop button, let's click on the crop drop-down arrow. Of course, you have the crop button, which is the same thing as clicking on that up there. Then you got crop to shape. Ooh, let's do something lovely, like a heart. Well, it's kind of hard to see because of the white background here, but that is a heart. Cool. If you want to do a bit more, then actually go ahead and click on the crop button and you can see the heart. And then if you want to go ahead and click on the cropping handles to, make it a little bit of a short, chunkier heart, that's Fabu. I'm going to go ahead and click and stretch it back. You can actually click on the image inside and say, maybe this could be you. Picture of you and your hubby over here, and hey, isn't that just sweet? In any case, when you're done, go ahead and click on the crop button to confirm it. And let's go ahead and reset this. Click on the drop down arrow, reset picture and size, and let's go back to our crop drop down arrow. Aspect ratio. You see you got a square, you got your portrait, 3x4 is more vertical as opposed to the portrait 4:5, which is more horizontal, and then landscape, you're really going out. So let's do a 3:4 ratio and click on that. And you see how it's more vertical to try to keep it in a 3:4 ratio here. So if you go ahead and click on the crop button, accept it, well, there you go. Let me go ahead and hit undo, or I could hit the reset picture and size. And let's go back up to the crop drop down arrow, and then as well as fill as to fit. Fit means you can resize the picture so that the entire picture displays inside the picture area while maintaining the original aspect ratio. So what that means, if I go ahead and click on the crop button and I crop it here and there, and whoops, I'll bring it over here. There we go. You can see the outer border of it. So if I go ahead and click on crop, and then I click on the crop drop down arrow and I say to fit inside of it, well, there's the area and it shrunk to fit inside that area. Now if I went too fast, I can go really slow, or you can go ahead and rewind the video and watch it again. Let's go ahead and click on reset picture and size, and let me hit the escape key. Let's go ahead and do size and rotation. First of all, size. You got your sizing handles that you can hover over, like in the upper right hand corner until you can see arrows pointing up and down. You can click and drag that and make it larger, proportionally that is, to keep the height with the width, unless you want to go ahead and do the right middle resizing handle, and it doesn't keep it proportional, it just stretches it out more horizontal, and he's getting a little bit more skinny there. And then of course we can go ahead and click on reset picture and size, and you can do a more vertical. Oh, that's kind of funny. Go ahead and hit undo. That's a lot quicker. You can do it that way, or you can come up here on the Format tab to the Size group, and you can see the height. Hover over it, shape height, and then you can see that little image there where it's the width. So if you want to get exact numerically and say this has got to be exactly 3 inches high, then go ahead and click in here. Type 3, hit enter, and notice how it keeps it proportional, so it updates the width. So it doesn't make it more vertical and stretches them really skinny that way. And if you're like, well, I do want it at 3 inches, but the width, I don't want it to be at 3.64. I want it maybe a little bit less or a little bit more. Well, what you can do is click on the expandable dialog box button and the culprit for keeping it locked. So what you do to the height, it keeps it proportional in with the width and vice versa, is the locked aspect ratio. So if I come in here, and there you can see it's at 140% of its original size, that if I go ahead and say, no, I want you to be like maybe at 103, hit the tab key, it keeps it locked. So when I click okie dokie, well, again, maybe I want the height to be numerically at this number, 3 inches, or at 103%, and then maybe the width at 100%. In any case, let's go back again, expand it, and let's go ahead and uncheck this. So you can do it percentage-wise or numerically. So if you want the height, again, we were talking 3 inches, 3, hit the tab key, and then when you click OK, it'll keep the width where it's at, unless I go ahead and change it and say, well, let's do 3.5, and then click okie dokie, and there you go. So it didn't keep it proportional. I messed with the width and made it a little bit smaller than what it originally would have been if it wasn't locked, the aspect ratio that is. And so let's go ahead and go back and reset the picture and size, and then click on the expandable dialog box button. And if you do decide to mess with it again, because it's been unchecked, well, let's go ahead and check it, because I like to keep mine in proportion and not have it stretched too far one way or the other. And click okie dokie. Now, how about some rotation? So maybe the dragon is flying down, swooping in, and not standing on his feet. So you can come up here, and just above the top middle resizing handle is our rotation. So when you hover over it, you get a black arrow turning in on itself. Click on it and hold it down, and then when you do that, you got 4 arrows turning in on themselves. So you can click and drag, and it, whoa, whoa, and let him go. And so it looks like he's kind of swooping down. Okay, kind of. In any case, if we got rid of his legs, that looks like he's standing, or crop that out, then maybe it looks more like a dive. In any case, you can leave it at that, or click, and when you drag it back and forth, if you want to do it by every, I think, 15 degrees, then hold down the Shift key, and when you go to the right, it snaps every about 15 degrees. And so that way, if you do it freehand by not holding down the Shift key, and you're like, I just wish it would get flat, then hold down the Shift key and it'll pop it right to it. Cool. You can go ahead and rotate them by freehand, or let's go ahead and hit undo several times. We'll get them back there. Or you can come up here on the Format tab in the Size group and click on the Expandable Dialog Box button. And on the Size tab, there's rotations. So if you want to rotate them maybe 25 degrees, let's do that. 25, hit Enter. And there you go. Let's go ahead and hit undo. You can do it that way, or another way if it's a simple flip, like up here on the Format tab in the Arrange group, you've got your flipping options. Let's go ahead and click on it and say you can flip it vertically, horizontally. Okay, you got your rotation up at the top. You can rotate left 90 or rotate right 90, but we're talking about flipping. And so if we want to flip out and go horizontally so he's facing into the margin, fabulous. To adjust the image settings, go ahead and select the picture first, and then come up here and click on its related contextual format tab. And there you go, the adjust group. Let's see, let's do corrections first. And you can see that it will improve the brightness, contrast, or sharpness of the picture. Click on it. First of all, you want to sharpen or soften. Now when you have 2 pixels of different colors, if you want to soften it, like soften 50%, you can see a preview of it over in the document there, and it's blurry as opposed to sharpen 50%. Ooh, he's got pointy, sharp teeth. Let's go down to brightness and contrast. So you can see the brightness is plus 20% and the contrast is not as contrasting as opposed to going to something that's more contrasting when it comes to 2 pixels of different colors, and it stands out. It doesn't look as blurry and as bleached. Of course, the brightness will do that as well. In any case, if you want more options, click on Picture Correction Options, opens up the task pane, and you can go ahead and you got the same presets if you want to mess with it in there. You can also change the brightness and the contrast, click and drag, or you can do it numerically. And also you can mess with the crop that we learned in the previous training video. Instead of doing it by hand, by using the crop button, you can do it numerically down below by going down. And you see how it's cropping off its nose for the width. Ow. Let's go ahead and click on Reset the Picture. And of course, if we want to reset the crop, we have to come back up here in the Adjust group, click on the Reset and go to Reset Picture and Size, so it can go back to its original size and not just reset the format. Let me go ahead and close out of the Format Picture task pane and come back up here. Let's talk about Couleur. Click on it. You got color saturations, color tones. Let me take a look at this over here. Ooh, temperature. We're getting hot. Ow! Let's go ahead and click on it and go with that. Oh, that's nice. And then come back up here, click on color. See, recolor, blue accent color 1 light, more variations if you want to choose a specific color. If you got a single color and you want to make it transparent, go ahead and click on this feature. You get this little pencil with the eraser there, that wherever you click, it'll choose a single color and erase all of the adjacent pixels of the same color. So this looks like the same color. This one kind of gets, well, not the exact same color. You could try it, click on it, and you see, got rid of, looks like a little bit, if that. Let's try it again. Color, set transparent, and choose a solid color out here. Click on it, there you go. So it works with solid colors, Fabu. And then we got something that's very artistic-y. Click on that, effects, and well, you got the pencil grayscale. You can go ahead and print that off and say, hey man, I just in my spare time, I totally sketched a dragon, dude. In any case, you got quite a few of those, and oh, that's really fancy. Oh, I like that. Ooh, let's choose that one, glowing edges. Click on it. Although fun, that's very distracting to the eye, so let me go ahead and I changed my mind, hit undo. Or you can go ahead and click on the Reset Picture. And if I do size, well, I haven't messed with the size, so I can just go ahead and reset the picture, which discards all the formatting. We're back to where we started. And let's go ahead, speaking of artistic effects, You do have some picture styles. We'll come back to the group in just a minute, but if you want to give it a metal frame, cool. Of course, you can click on the More button and choose something else. Let me click off. You can give it a border, picture border, choose a color. It gives you kind of a thin color for the blue accent one, darker 25%. If you want something that's thicker, then choose your weight. When it gets thicker, then of course after you choose the thickness, you can come back and choose the color. Let me click off. Picture effects. Maybe you want something glowing, warm glow around the border. 8-point red accent color 2. Looks like he spit fire around the border here. Let me go ahead and reset it. And let's come over here in the adjust group and let's remove the background. Now the background that I'm looking at to remove is, well, this blotchy orange stuff. So go ahead and click on it, because we couldn't do it with the transparent feature because it only chooses a single color. Although this works along the same lines, this gives us a little bit more flexibility. So first off, you can see that we've got a box around the dragon, and it's got its nose cut off, so that won't be included unless I hover over the right middle resizing handle and click and drag to get his nose in there. Oh, good. And we need his tail, of course. There we go. And then to go ahead and get rid of this orangey, flamey stuff here, as it were, let's come up here on the Related Background Removal tab, and you can mark areas to keep if it gets removed, or mark areas you want to remove. So go ahead and click on that, and you get a little pencil that you can go ahead and click and drag the areas you want removed. Ooh, cool. Let's go ahead and do it in here and see if we can get it there. I have to be careful that I don't select one of his spines there, because if that gets in there, it'll pull that into the color mix and may get rid of half of his spine. Click and drag here. Large swaths. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, that's great. Okay. Wow. But that looks really good. And then if you want to go ahead and keep it, click on Keep Changes. But before we do that, if you want to delete one of these marks here, so these marked areas for removal have a minus sign as opposed to mark areas to keep. When you click on that and say, nah, I want to keep this. And then it opens it up and it keeps part of it wherever you move the line. So if you want to keep this part, well, it depends on where you click and drag. That's where it's going to go. But if I want to get rid of it, either what I choose to keep or what I mark to remove, then come up here and click on Delete Mark and go ahead and click on the mark and it gets rid of it. And it's still up there, so if I click on another mark, got rid of it, didn't open it back up because I guess this mark is holding everything here from being revealed. So if I get rid of that, oh yeah, see, that did it. Okay, let's go ahead and mark it to remove it. Click and drag. There we go. I can, of course, go ahead and discard all changes. Ugh. Or I can go ahead and hit undo, and it actually went back, remove background, to having everything back to it. So we can keep changes, and well, there you go. Click off of it, and you're like, wow, that blends well. If it wasn't for the fact that the text was way above his head, and you could click here and see the picture, then you wouldn't know that there was some workings on there or that it came actually like this. So you can go ahead and of course crop it. Let me go ahead and click on Reset the Formatting. We're back to where we started. And then up in the Adjust group, you've got the compression. So when you have a lot of pictures in your document, the document file size becomes pretty huge. And so if you want to go ahead and decrease that so it doesn't take as long to download or to email off to somebody, click on Compress Pictures. And first off, these boxes, the compression options, are checked by default to apply only to this picture. So if you uncheck it, if you have more than one picture, it'll apply to all the pictures throughout the entire document. So it will compress all of them. But right now we'll just compress this one. And then we remember in the previous training video on cropping our images, how when we cropped it, and then we're like, oh, I made a mistake. So we go back to click on crop and it showed the areas that were cut out but still there, so you can go ahead and uncrop it, as it were. Well, to help save on space, it will delete the cropped areas of the picture. So if I cropped it down to his head, and this is checked, and I click Okie dokie, and I'm like, oh, I didn't mean to do that. I can't reset the picture back to where it was because it deleted the cropped area of the picture. So keep that in mind. And then down below, the pixels per inch, the smaller, the less sharper it's going to be. So if you want to save space, then use something smaller. If you just want them to get the gist of the picture as opposed to something that you want sharper, then go ahead and select something a little bit higher. And then when you're done, go ahead and click Okie dokie. And it compresses it, and it makes the size of the file a little bit smaller than it previously was. And then back up here in the adjust group, if you want to swap your picture out, you can see where it says change picture, remove or replace the selected picture. So if you're like, I don't want this here, and you don't want to select it, hit the delete key, then put the cursor back in here, you just want to do a straight swap, then you can click on that button, or you can right click on the image and go down to change picture, online from a file, go to pictures, sample pictures. And even those pictures like super huge, because it's going to be replacing the image I have there, it's going to keep it, well, at that same size. So when I double click, there you go. Well, that's very nice. Text wrapping is how your text will appear next to or along with your graphics in the document. Like this dude right here, when I go ahead and select him, he only takes up, well, so much space. We've got this extra white space. So instead of having text above and below it, I can fill in this white space if I use the text wrapping feature to have the text wrap around it, not just be above and below it. To use the text wrapping feature, you can do it one of a couple of ways. One way is to go ahead and select the image and then come up here and click on its related contextual format tab, go to the Arrange group, and then there you go, wrap text. You can hover over it, read about it, and get a preview of what it's about with the image there. But if you don't mind, I'd like to go ahead and talk to you about it. Click on it, and you get the different options down below. Now the default is in line with text, meaning that, well, each text has its own line, so does the image. And the icon over to the left-hand side of that image has the text lines, and then the, well, upside down U, it looks like, not really a U, looks like it's cut off. In any case, that represents the image. And so you're looking at the lines, and how they appear next to the image is how, when you select one of these options, it will appear in your document. Better yet, instead of just kind of looking at that teeny tiny little image, you can go ahead and get a preview by hovering over it like the square. You see how the image is in square around the image? Well, on the right-hand side, not the left-hand side, because, well, we've got no room. It's right up against the left margin. So there's square, there's tight. And what tight does is when it sees that the image has white space around it, well, when we selected the image, like we did here, you've got the box of extra white space. So tight or through just says, hey, we got some white space that you probably don't mind if we just cut through it. If you do, then don't select it. But in any case, wrap text. Through is the same. You can do top and bottom, which you'd think is like the inline with text, but choosing the wrap text option top and bottom gives us some other options that we'll talk about in just a minute. You can do behind text or in front of text. Let's do behind text, select it, and then click off. And if you're like, oops, I made a mistake, and you can't undo it because let's say you ended your session, you saved it, and you open back up the document, and you're like, oh, rats. And you can't select it because there's text in front of it, so it's thinking of selecting the text or placing the cursor somewhere within the words here, thinking that you want to edit that as opposed to selecting your image. Then you're in trouble unless you have some space in between your lines that you can go ahead and get a four-way arrow, because now it sees the image there that you can click on, select it. If not, you're toast. No, I'm kidding. If you don't have any space that you can select your image, then what you can do is come up here on the Home tab and go to the Editing group, click on Select, and by default it wants to select everything, man. And what we want to do is we want to just focus on the objects and not everything that includes the text, but just objects. So when you click on that, you see when I click on any of the text how it's like, what are you doing? I'm focused on objects right now. Please, you focus too. So that means when I go ahead and hover over the text that's in front of the object, I get a four-way arrow. It doesn't see the text. It only sees objects. So you can go ahead and click right there and it selects it. Hey, isn't that beautiful? And then you can come back up here, click on the Format tab, and change it. Or better yet, another way of doing this is when you select the image, you get the layout options right there that you can click on and go ahead and make your choices there. Let me go back to the default in line with text so I can show you something. When I try to click off, it won't let me because it's still in select object mode. So just hit the escape key on the keyboard. There we go. Now we can go ahead and select our text and, well, even going back to selecting our image here. Now when I go ahead and click on the tag here for the layout options, again, the default is in line with text. When I go ahead and hover over any one of these, I don't get the preview that I got when I came up here and clicked on the Format tab on the ribbon. So I just have to go with what you see here, or if you've done it enough, you know what you're doing. So there's a square. You can see it square on the left-hand side and right-hand side. You can see it a bit better, can't you, than those teeny tiny little icons. In any case, once you go ahead and select any one of these options, these two additional options come into play, and also you'll get an anchor. Let me show you. Let's go ahead and do Squaresville. The moment I select it, these two options come into play, and the anchor. Now when you hover over the anchor, it says the selected object is anchored to the document text here. And that comes into relation with what we select here, meaning that wherever the anchor's at, as far as pages go, that's where the image is going to be. And so we'll go over that in just a minute, but let me focus on the move with text, meaning that, as you can see in the pop-up, it allows your object to move on the page as text is added or deleted. So if I come up here and I hit enter, 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 I add more text, well, there you go, the image goes with the text, and that's nice. Let's go ahead and hit undo, select it again, click on the tag, as opposed to the other option. Well, when you select that, you can see in the pop-up, it'll keep your object in the same place on the page as text is added or deleted. However, if the anchor moves to the next page, your object moves as well. Well, how does that work? Let's go ahead and choose that option. And now the relationship with the anchor becomes more so because when I come up here and I hit enter, 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 and I add more text, the image is still positioned there, right? But where's the anchor? Because it says if the anchor moves and it actually goes to the next page, it'll take the object with it. So is the anchor moving when I add additional text? Let's find out. Select the image. Ooh, there's the anchor right about in the middle of it here. So if I come up here and I hit enter, 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 and I add more text, select the image, where's the anchor now? Okay, towards the bottom. So when you add more text, it moves the anchor. So if you don't want the anchor to keep moving with the text so it gets down to the bottom and pops over to the next page, because when it goes to the next page, it'll take the image with it. So you can go ahead and say, look, click on the anchor and drag it back up, add more text, drag the anchor back up, add more text, so that way it doesn't get, well, when you add more text, pushed on the next page. As in an example here, let me click and drag the anchor down to, well, the bottom of the page. And then I come up here and let's pretend I'm adding more text. I type in some text, hit enter, 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 and oh, anchor finally got pushed off onto the next page, didn't it? Let's go ahead and scroll down and it went to the next page. Select it. Where's the anchor? Well, when it went to the next page, when I saw it disappear, I didn't hit enter anymore, so it should be at the top of, there you go, this page. So with what we're working with here, wherever the anchor is at on the page, it doesn't matter, but if it goes to another page, it'll take the object or image with it. Now when it takes it with it, notice how the position is still basically the same place as it was on the previous page, about right smack in the middle, 4¼ inches. So that's a good point. How does that work? Well, let me go ahead and hit undo to get it back up there. Let's do several times to get it. Let me scroll up. Okay. Let's go ahead and select it. Click on the tag, and let's go ahead and see more. Opens up the Layout tab. I want to get to the text wrapping, but let's talk about the position because when we move the anchor to the next page, it took the image with it and it put it in, I think, what was pretty much the same position. Well, it wasn't at the top of the anchor or at the bottom or in some other place. So as far as the position goes, when it comes to your images, you can position it horizontally and or vertically. Now, as far as horizontal goes, there's nothing to position when you're at 0. And you can say 0 inches to the right of a column, margin, page, character, as in this example down below with the vertical. So from top to bottom, it's 4.26 inches below the page, or you can choose something else. So it absolutely has to be at that position when we move the anchor to another page. So if you keep that in mind, and we go ahead and click cancel, and let's go ahead and click and drag this back down. Well, let's just drag it to the next page. Anywhere on this page, doesn't matter. Because when I select the image, then click on the tag and see more, absolutely at the fixed position of 4.26 inches below page. Of course, it's not exactly centered, isn't it? 8.5 by 11, 8.5. What's half of 8.5? 4¼ Well, you can not mess with that and just say, look, let's just center it on the page. As far as the alignment goes, click okie dokie, and you see how it nudged it up just a skosh from 4.26 to 4.2 and a quarter. Now let me go ahead and hit undo. Enough with the position here. We're talking about text wrapping, but I think that helped. At least it did for me. I feel better. Let's go ahead and click on the tag here, go down to see more, and go to the text wrapping tab. And now for me, this makes it a little bit easier identifying how the wrapping style goes because you've got a picture of a woofie. And this woofie here, you can see how the lines go around when it's square or it's tight, it gets close and fills up any white space or through. So you can still select your options here, and depending upon what you select, you'll get some additional options down below. Like with square, you can have the text wrap on both sides, and it's not wrapping on both sides currently because, well, the image is flushed left. It's up against the margin. So if I go ahead and click cancel and I click and drag him, oh, there you go. Now he's on both sides. Okie dokie. Click on the tag, see more, and then click text wrapping. And so now it's on both sides. You can focus just on the left, the right, or the largest only, or the largest side. And down below, if you want to be able to have more distance, like if the text is a bit too tight, maybe on the top there, or on the left or right-hand side, let's exaggerate to make my point. Let's say we want 1 inch from the top of the image as well as 1 inch below. Click okie dokie, and wow, that's huge. And so that brings up a good point. Maybe you didn't do this, but if you're trying to get this tight to the text above and below and you keep dragging and it keeps evading you, the text above and below, well, remember, you've got your see more and text wrapping options to go ahead and say, well, let's just do 0 and 0. And let's try 0 left, 0 right. Hit enter on the keyboard and then click off. Okay, it's right up against his nose, and well, you choose what works best for you. Let me go ahead and select the image and do one more thing because I'm feeling a little ADD right now. But when you have it selected, the image, you can come up here, click on the Format tab, and we talked about the position, but that was when we clicked on the tag and we went to see more. In any case, in the Arrange group, you can go ahead and click on Position, and well, there you go. So as far as with wrapping text, it's right smack in the middle, or you can do it left, and that way you don't have to mess with it numerically. Or you can go to more layout options, and we're right back to the window where we started here, well, when we went the other way, with clicking on the tag down to see more. Such a fun thing to say, see more. The screenshot feature will take a snapshot of whatever's on your screen here and insert it in your document wherever your cursor's at. So if I don't want to insert it there, let me put it down below here. And to go ahead and access the feature, come up and click on the Insert tab, go to the Illustrations group, and there you go, Screenshot. Go ahead and click on the drop-down arrow. You get two options. You can take a snapshot of an entire window or screen clipping. First off, an entire window, and you'll see I've got two. But wait a minute, if you look down below on my taskbar, I've got quite a few windows. Why is it only seeing two and not all of them like the exercises folder? The reason being is because the others are minimized and these two are, well, up and viewable. So if I come over here to the books, you see how it just pops up? If I come up here and minimize that down to the taskbar, I'm like, okay, I'm ready. Let's go ahead and click on Screenshot. It's no longer there because it's minimized. It's not viewable. So I have to come back down below, click on the corresponding button to restore the window, then go back to my document, and then click on Screenshot, and there we go. There's the books. Well, let's do this guy right here. How about the website? Click on it. Would you like to automatically hyperlink your screenshot to the URL of the captured browser window? So it knows that we're capturing a website, and so if you want to hyperlink, that when you click on it, it takes it to that website. In any case, I'll say no. And there you go. Oh, that's fancy. And so let's go ahead and delete that and go over the other options. Back up here to Insert, go to Screenshot, and this time I want a screen clipping, so we can go ahead and click on that. And then after a second, it turns from something clear to something milky, and you get a black cross. Well, I don't want the books. I want the website. I want to be able to select something from the website. Before I do that, so you know what you're looking at here, when you click and drag, it makes everything behind the milky film clear. And when you let go, that's what it's going to insert, that portion or that clipping, into your document. Let go, and there you go. Ooh, sweet. But like I said, I didn't want that. Let me go ahead and hit undo. Why is it bringing up books, and why not my website? Well, it'll bring my website up now because we have something called layering. What that means is that whatever the last window is you select is going to be on top. So if it's the books, when I do a screen clipping, that will be on top. If it's the website and I go back to the document and I want to do an insert, screenshot to clipping, now that's on top. Wait for it. There you go. You get the black cross. Then you can go ahead and say, ooh, I'm something special. And select that. Automatically inserts that into the document. Some of this doesn't actually give us a true image to insert. It's kind of fuzzy. Word has some limitations in what it will show as clear and not. Sometimes it's easier just to go ahead and get the actual image and insert it. Like coming up here, click on the Insert tab as a picture. Oh, and as a side note, if you want to go ahead and hit the print screen key on the keyboard, well, if you're using a keyboard, there's actually a print screen that you can hit, and then do Control-V as in Victor to paste, and it will take a snapshot of your screen. Or if you want to hold down the Alt key and hit the print screen, that also does another variation of printing your screen. And then just Control-V as in Victor to paste that as well to see what you get. If you want to insert some videos into your document, like YouTube videos, then come up here and click on the Insert tab. Go to the Media group and click Online Video. You can do a web search, but I want to do a YouTuber. Let me go ahead and type in my name and Excel 2016, hit enter. And hey, there's all the training videos, or the ones that I'm offering for evaluation. Like the Excel 2016 Evaluate and Watch Formulas window. Let's select that. Click on Insert. Insert's an image you can click on. Let me go ahead and resize it by hovering over the bottom right-hand corner resizing handle. Click and drag. Pretty good. And then, of course, save your document. When you're ready, you want to play it, click on the play button. Opens it up for us to go ahead and watch the YouTuber video. The two features that we'll be going over. Oh, that's fabulous. Let's go ahead and click off, and we're back to our document. Thanks for watching. Hey, as a quick reminder, if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also click on me and subscribe to my channel to get notified of the latest videos. And for great specials on my products, please see the description below this video.